Welcome back to my garden, or I guess my indoor garden these days, who knows. My name is Robin. I garden in Northwest Connecticut, Zone 6. So today what I wanted to talk to you about is what some of my favorite garden resource books are. I've been gardening for a very long time. I have a certificate in garden design and horticulture. I was an interior designer. I have a BFA in interior design. And I've been designing gardens for 20 plus years. As you can see laid out on my table, I'm working on some garden design for a client, trying to make it as simple to understand as possible. So the first thing I want to talk to you about, I mentioned in my last video, was keep notes. I have books for every year for as long as I can remember. And I keep track of, when did things bloom? When did I put something in the ground? What did I put in? What annuals did I pick? Here's a good example. What annuals did I pick? Did something do well? Did something not do well? So that's, I think, a good place to start. So I wanted to go through some of these things and let's review a couple of the books. So here's just a sneak peek at some of the tons and tons of books that I have. And I have an entire bookshelf filled with them. So the first two books I want to mention are A Year Full of Flowers by Sarah Raven, and another one by her called The Bold and Brilliant Garden. Sorry, there you go. I've got lots of tabs in this book. I've read every last page. I've got pages highlighted. She goes month by month through the different things and the different plants of what you should be doing. So this is a book that both books that I really enjoy. I think as a gardener, we can always learn more. On to the next. Okay, Cool Flowers. This book by Lisa Mason Ziegler, you've probably heard a million people talking about it. And the nice thing about this is she goes through plant by plant again to tell you how to do cool flowers, which is the idea that you would put flowers in the ground in the fall and they'll come up in the spring. Now, what she has here on page 138 in this Appendix B, is zone by zone. Like she'll pick a plant, so let's say calendula. She'll tell you that the winter hardiness zone is 7. It should be sown indoors and sown outdoors. And she gives you tips on every single one of them. So that's Cool Flowers, another great resource. If you do any containers, especially tulips, the king of the container has to be Klaus Dalby. This book has some amazing inspiration in it. He can put together a grouping like nobody I think I've ever seen. His containers are gorgeous. Year after year, things change. He explains how to plant tulips in pots. I love this book. Next up, I order seeds from a variety of places, Floret, Johnny's, Select, Baker Creek. So Floret also has books. One of them is called The Cut Flower Garden. Again, I have notes sticking out of every single page and by plant. And then Discovering Dahlias. I love dahlias. If you've been following me all year, you know I love dahlias. There's always something to be learned. When you're a gardener, there's always more to learn from other people, from visiting gardens. We're never finished learning. Things change all the time. Look how our climate has changed recently. So another book, The Complete Gardener by Monty Don. I miss Monty Don on Friday nights right now because they're on a hiatus. I love him. I love seeing his garden. I love hearing him talk about different gardens. He had a series a while back. I don't know if we still get it in the United States, where he traveled to European gardens. He just has so much information. And the great part about Monty Don is he makes it so plain, simple, and understandable. And at the end of every one of his episodes on the BBC Gardener's World, he gives you tasks to do that are time sensitive. So like, we're in January right now. What are you doing in January? And that's what a lot of these books are very helpful to guide you along, especially if you're a new gardener. But even experienced gardeners, we can all learn something. Literally the encyclopedia of trees and shrubs. Michael Durr, when I was in school, Berkshire Botanical Gardens is where I got a certificate from. This book answers any question you might have about any tree or shrub you could possibly, and you can see it's well marked. I have, I think, 3 of his books at least. This book is a beast. It's heavy. It was well worth the money. So again, Durr's Encyclopedia of Trees and Shrubs. Will give you any information. Are you looking for the zone? Do you want to know how big a tree gets? Do you want to see what it looks like in different seasons? Let me see if I can hold it closer. Gives you all that kind of information. That's Durr's, Michael Durr. Another 2 books that I would not be without are again from Alan Armitage, again, who, like, if you want to know anything about a plant, he has a book on perennials. He has a book on annuals. If you're thinking of starting a cutting garden, if you want to add some more perennials to your flower beds, you want some combinations that'll work together. What can you put in dry shade? What can you put in wet shade? You have a hot, sunny location, but it's really dry. These books are really invaluable. Again, both annuals and perennials. And this is Alan Armitage. Oh my goodness gracious, they're heavy. Another book that I really like is A Way to Garden by Margaret Roach. She has a weekly podcast. She writes for the New York Times. She used to work for Martha Stewart. From her, I've been to her garden several times. It's lovely as part of the Garden Conservancy. If you are wondering how to save herbs, I highly recommend, I'll put a link to, I did a video on how to save herbs, and I learned that from Margaret. So again, this book has a lot of information, and every week she shares really valuable information on gardening. Again, very timely information. She lives in the Northeast, so if you live in this area, it could be a big help to you. So, A Way to Garden by Margaret Roach. If you're a gardener, you're probably very familiar with Great Dixter Gardens in England. So Christopher Lloyd, known for that beautiful long border at Great Dixter, along with Fergus Garrett. This book is a great inspiration book, I think, succession planting. So one of the things in our gardens that we're always looking for, of course, is continuous color. We want to start as soon as it's possible to have some color, as soon as our, like our crocuses and our muscari, and then the narcissus, and then the tulips, and all the way through the end of the fall where the mums and the asters, and then into the winter with the hellebores and stuff. So this is a great book for inspiration. Christopher Lloyd's Succession Planting for year-round pleasure. And he goes into a variety of different things. There's lots of pictures. I love books that have pictures, because even in my own garden design, like I said, I'll put together layouts of what do I want that bed to look like, so I can actually see it. I don't want to put it on my computer, and I want to have it on paper. I want to see it. I want to visualize it. I want to move things around. Another good resource book that I've had for a very long time is Landscape Plants for Eastern North America. So if you live in my area, I live in Connecticut, Northwest Connecticut. Again, this book gives you good stuff. The plants and shrubs that are great in the South or in the West, don't work in New England. A lot of them. Some are, certainly some crossover, but a lot of them don't. So this is a good resource book. Two specialty books that I have that I really like. One is Fine Foliage. This is by Karen Chapman and Christina Solwitz. A key to any good garden is having places for the eye to rest as you're walking around. You have explosions of color here and there. You need texture and you need foliage. And foliage really makes a difference when you're combining different flowers, different plants. You need some relief, and she gives you lots of nice combinations as a place to start. So this is Fine Foliage. And the other one is Grasses by Nancy Ondra. Again, I'm a big fan of grasses. I know there are some people that don't like them. I like grasses and I leave them up as long as I can in the wintertime. I think grasses also solve a lot of problems. And here Nancy goes through, you know, what you can use, how you can use grasses to solve different problems. Whether it's in a container, whether it's to break up the monotony of certain types of plants. This book is just called Grasses. And again, I've had it for a very long time. Let's see what else we have. I think we're getting to a lot. Hold on. One of the books that I use for inspiration, because she's always been so inspiring to me, is The Gardens of Gertrude Jekyll. She loved large swaths of color. Now, I don't have that much room. And one of the things I like to do in my garden, excuse me, is I don't do one here, one here, one there. I do try things out, one here, one there. But then I want to have enough diversity. So I have good bugs, bad bugs, lots of birds, lots of critters, things that diversify my garden. But I look to her for those combinations, and I love the pinks and the purples, swaths. So if you know me, you know I love purple. Gardens of Gertrude Jekyll. And one of the last books that I'll mention is Perennials for American Gardens by Ruth Clausen and Nicholas Ekstrom. This also has some great information on perennials. And lastly, the last one is I have a book on insect and disease control. However, you can definitely talk to your extension office in your area. There are master gardeners everywhere that are glad to help diagnose problems. So I hope this has been interesting. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you very much. Please subscribe, hit that like button. It really does make a difference. I'm actually really close to 1,000 subscribers, so I can start monetizing and keep bringing you content and give you suggestions about things that I like that you might be interested in purchasing. As far as resources go, I mean, I even have a book for my seeds, seed starting. You know, wherever you get inspiration, whether it's Pinterest, it's Houzz, it's, you know, in somebody's video, stop your screen, take a screenshot. Wherever that is, you know, keep a collection of what you love. So then when you go to a garden center, you can, you know, peruse the area, figure out what you want, not just go willy-nilly and you know, grab all kinds of stuff. So I hope this was a little helpful. Like I said, I have way more books. I don't want to bore you with any more. But these are some of the resources that I go to time and time again. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.